welcome everybody. I'm Rose Smith from AbsoluteSoulSecrets.com. Thanks for joining me today. I've got your July 2023 horoscope. Now I'm going to do a little introduction to what's happening in the month, and then we have your individual star signs. So don't forget to click on the timestamps below for your individual sun sign, your moon sign, and of course your ascendant. There's a bit happening this month, and one of the very significant things that the moon's nodes are changing sign. So I'm going to talk more about that in depth in a moment. But first, let's put on a little video so you don't have to watch me all of the time. And I'll give you just a really basic quick rundown of what's happening first for everybody. On the 3rd, we have the supermoon in Capricorn. The supermoon occurs when the moon becomes a full moon, comes quite close to the earth. And so because it is closer, its effects are more pronounced. So it can be up to 7% brighter and appear up to 15% larger. Okay, so a supermoon in Capricorn bringing, I guess you'd say, a sense of earthiness and practicality to the house that moon is in. So you'll see that on your individual star sign video. On the 10th, Mars goes into Virgo, and that can bring, again, Virgo's a very earthy sign, so it is also about being grounded and down to earth, but there's more energy coming through. Just watch with Mars. Sometimes we can all get a bit irritable or not as patient with Mars. And as Mars rules Aries, particularly Aries, do watch for that. On the 11th, Mercury goes into Leo, bringing a lot of fiery sort of energy in communications. And that can manifest as just sort of passionate communications, if you like. But again, sometimes Leo is the king of the jungle, so there's nothing there to say that it's going to be an argument or anything like that, but it's just that Leo can be quite passionate. On the 18th, there's a new moon in Cancer, bringing new beginnings with emotional nurturing, care and compassion, and Cancer's quite an emotional sign too as well. And Cancer is a water sign, of course. All water signs can be emotional. On the 23rd, Venus is retrograde in Leo until the 4th of September, where Venus appears to be going backward in the sky, but of course in reality no planet actually goes backwards. It just is an optical illusion. So this means that Venusian type things like love, romance, art, creativity, and even dealing with money can become quieter. Okay, there might be some sort of distance, or maybe it just seems less important, or there's other things going on that take your mind onto other things. And also on the same day, the 23rd, the sun goes into Leo, bringing this bright energy. It's gregarious, it's brilliant, it loves to shine, it loves to be on the stage and shine. So good for Leos, obviously. And then on the 29th, Mercury goes into Virgo, so lots of communications that have a practical kind of leaning. Perhaps there's something to do with nature, perhaps there's something to do with being clean and tidy or detailed, organising things, systemising things. Now, that brings us to the moon's nodes. This happens on the 18th of the month. The North Node will go into Aries and the South Node will go into Libra. And this is for the next 18 months. And it affects, obviously, Aries and Libra, but it affects all cardinal signs. So that also includes Capricorn and Cancer. Okay, so it actually makes a thing called a cardinal cross. And this situation with these nodes and these signs is going to last up until July 2025. So to give you some idea of what could be in store for you, cast your mind back to what happened in July 2006, around there, and maybe 2005, and see what you were doing then, okay? Because there could be some similarities come up over the next 18 months or so. Okay, so the North Node in in Aries. What's this all about? The North Node is basically the direction you are to head towards It's your destiny. It's your future. And this is what Spirit wants you to do in order to fulfill your life's mission. Part of your life's mission, maybe not all of it. Aries is quite a fiery sign. It's dynamic. It's full of passion. Your independence and self-assertion are being highlighted. So this is about experiencing yourself with you as the frame of reference. So it's not to do with your children, if you have children. It's not to do with your partner or your boss or your work or any other role that you may play, no matter what that role is. It's very personal, and it's just to do with you. Sometimes people say Aries is selfish, but that's not actually true. It's just that Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and they have finished the cycle beforehand. So now they're going on to a new cycle. So it's just them, and they're looking at the world through their eyes. So it's not about being selfish at all. It's about embracing your unique identity by pursuing your passions with courage and enthusiasm, even if other people don't like it. It's a great time for balancing your assertiveness with the needs of others while you evolve in your life's purpose. Now, the South Node opposite the first house, the sign of Aries, it's in Libra, okay, the 7th house of partnership. So that's all about compromising, maintaining a relationship. And so because it's a South Node, it's about significant aspects in your past life experiences, whether that be the past life you've experienced before you incarnated on this planet, or this very life that you have now and past experiences in this life. So we're talking about patterns and traits which may hinder your future growth, although they've probably helped you in the past. It's the ability to get on with people. It's the ability to compromise where you need to. But of course what happens is sometimes we compromise too much, don't we? Especially in Libra. Okay, so in some areas, I've pointed out in your star sign video or star sign section of this video on the timestamps below, you've probably found some balance or harmony. However, you may also be very much keeping the peace to avoid conflict, because that's a Libran strategy. And this could come at your own expense. So the karmic lesson you're going to learn over the next 18 months or so is to balance your own needs with the needs of others. You can find balance by cultivating self-reliance, individuality, and you can establish healthy boundaries in relationships. So that often entails saying the N-word, no, okay? If you have problems saying the N-word, then get a cat, because they will teach you how to say no. Regularly, they teach you. You'll probably end up developing healthier relationships as a result while fulfilling your spiritual journey. Okay, so I hope you found this little intro helpful. Don't forget to subscribe and be alive. Hit that subscribe bell and also the notification bell as well. Subscribe button, I should say, and the notification bell. Now, go and click on your timestamp below for your star sign. Most importantly, have a fabulous month, everyone. Okay, it's going to be a transformative one for sure. I'll see you all again soon. Thanks and bye for now. Hello and welcome, awesome Aries. A few interesting things happening this month in July, particularly the North Node going into your sign. So let's go to the board now. I'll draw 2 cards as theme cards for the month for you, and we'll have a look at your horoscope for this month. Okay, so here we go. And these 2 cards. Okay, I'm closing my eyes. I like to have a little vision first before I draw the cards. Something about messages. I actually see that old-fashioned idea of a letter opener and opening a letter. Maybe it's an actual physical letter, but I just really describe it symbolically as receiving messages, but there's some sort of excitement or anticipation around it, so it might be a message you're waiting for. The card that comes up is the Death card. This is something is coming to an end, and It sounds bizarre because normally with endings we're not typically happy, but you may be. It's a major arcana card, so it's pretty important. And it could be something of a life-changing nature. Perhaps your divorce papers come through if you're getting a divorce or something like that is possible. But it's the end of a cycle so that a new cycle can begin. And you'll go through this stage and you'll be sort of waiting perhaps impatiently to get on to the next thing. You may be finishing up in a job or a relationship. You may be finishing study. And that's really interesting because in astrology, I'm on my last module of 3 years. And so even though I'm not an Aries, that's an interesting card to come up. So don't be worried about it. I know a lot of people freak out about the symbolism of it. It doesn't mean an actual physical death. It's just the end of the cycle. Okay, so that's the first card. And the second card... Oh, okay, I see a bow and arrow. This is like Sagittarius firing an arrow into the air. Maybe a Sagittarian is involved or something to do with Sagittarius in your chart. And it's like trying to go for a goal, and Spirit wants to encourage you to really go for it, not to be too concerned, even if it seems a bit pie in the sky. Go for it is what I'm hearing. I'm going to take this card underneath. It's the Chariot. How beautiful, because this is exactly what I'm saying. Go for it. Take the bull by the horns. You see the reins here, and really manifest your heart's desires. Now is the time. In July, you'll see the 2 Egyptian cats here from the goddess Bast saying, listen to your intuition, okay? Go for this new thing that you want to. Finish up with the past and get on with your life. It's a new chapter in your book of life. She's holding a staff here. This is about assuming the royal dignity that is yours to be sovereign over your life, okay? Not over anybody else's life, but over your life. You are sovereign. Major arcana. Now, it's very unusual that we get 2 major arcanas come up as theme cards, but there you go. So from that, I can confidently say that this could be a life-changing month for you. Okay, let's get on now with your horoscope, and especially because of the nodes, which I'll talk about towards the end, because it is about your destiny. First thing we've got here that I want to mention is this minor grand trine between Saturn and Jupiter, and also Mercury, Sun, which are conjunct. Okay, so a lot of insight and awareness coming to you, but this is going to involve your finances somehow, your personal finances, and it could mean growth in your finances. You may suddenly win money even, although normally I wouldn't say that, but it's possible because Jupiter basically enlarges anything that Jupiter touches. Saturn, there's been some sort of restriction within, but Saturn can give you some sort of structure, and particularly to do with your meditations, your spiritual work, whatever it is that you do on a practice level of your spirituality. So get into some sort of schedule or some sort of timetable where you can meditate X amount of hours a day, or minutes I should say, rather than hours, minutes per day, or do spiritual work or astrology or whatever it is. Okay, Saturn can give you the self-discipline and the structure that you need. It's retrograde, so it's likely to be in yourself. It's not likely to be externalized in the outside world, but when you get self-discipline, you'll be able to manifest in the external world, and the Chariot gives you a lot of energy for that. But you could be really improving your finances this month. The nodes changing sign, Venus going retrograde, and a Capricorn supermoon, which starts the month off on the 3rd. So it's up here in your house of career, social status, and maybe authority figures even. Maybe an authority figure like a parent, particularly your mother, because it is the moon. And the 10th house is traditionally the house of the mother, going back to sort of ancient times. So there could be some sort of career shake-up where you're really looking at what you're doing. Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Or are you just doing what you're doing because the money, or maybe to fit in with other people? or this is what other people expect you to do. There'll be some sort of shake-up. The 10th sees Mars going into Virgo, and Virgo is quite a sort of disciplined, analytical type of sign up here. So Mars is here in your 5th house, going into your house of everyday work. So there is a bit of a theme going on here about work, okay? You could be filled with sudden ambition. You could be filled with more energy to get things done. If you're not working, this could just be your daily routine particularly. You feel a bit more vital, you feel a bit more energy to get stuff done, and you're really feeling this chariot energy moving forward. On the 11th of the month, Mercury then moves into Leo, joining... Sorry, I've put Leo there. Where are we? Here. I'm in the wrong house. Leo here. And this is likely to bring a lot of warm communications and also some sort of passion or boldness or some sort of energy around your communications where they become more dramatic or more theatrical. Maybe you're up on stage in some way. Maybe you're here on YouTube or on the internet or on Facebook at large. But your messages much brighter, and they're probably more organised, and they're large, the world at large. You could have grand ideas as well. Often this house affects your creativity, and it's also leisure and pleasure and the world of the child. You could be playing games with children, for example, but there might even be a purpose to those games as well. On the 18th, the new moon is here in Cancer, bringing a lovely, caring, nurturing sort of energy to your family and to your home. And there's a new beginning there as well. So that's good news. Then we have the 23rd, Venus retrograde in Leo up until the 4th of September. And Venus is retrograde, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be bad for your relationships. People assume that. It just means that perhaps if you're in, for example, a long-term relationship, maybe you both go off and do different things, or you're just sort of a little bit more distant. Maybe somebody's working away from home, or there's something where you're just sitting on your feelings a bit or trying to work things out. And so it becomes internalized when it's retrograde. You have to find a new way to deal with romance or affection, especially if somebody's away from home. That's to the 4th of September. The 23rd of the month sees the sun go into Leo here as well, bringing even more fire and passion and drama, but I mean drama in the sense of theatre, not necessarily in the negative sense. So it could be a fun time for you. It could be a warm, happy time with the sun in Leo. There could be a lot of generosity and just general sharing and just nurturing and getting on well together. On the 29th, Mercury goes into Virgo as well up here, joining Mars in your house of work, but it's also your house of health and well-being. So it could be some communications around those subjects, those topics, new ideas, brilliant flashes of insight. And with Mars, there's a lot of energy around it, so you may be feeling more determined to improve your health. You may find new ways of improving your health through communications, for example. Now, the moon's nodes. On the 18th of the 7th, the moon's nodes go into, the north node goes into Aries and the south node goes into Libra for the next 18 months. Okay, and the cardinal signs are most affected. So that's you, Cancer, Libra and Capricorn. And they're actually making a thing called a cardinal cross until about July 25. And we haven't done this for a while. I think the last time was around 2006. And so if you cast your mind back to what you were doing in 2006, you might have some great ideas about how there's some similarities now. So the other thing to note is in the 23rd at the same time, Chiron is also retrograde. So something from 2006 or around that time might come up into your mind that needs healing, basically. With the North Node, it's the direction that you're going in. That's what Spirit wants you to to do. And for you, it's all about the self, okay? So it's changing here from Taurus into Aries, and this is your house of identity. This is about how you assert yourself in the world and how you're going to fulfill your life's mission. It's all about your destiny, basically. And Aries is a very fiery and dynamic sort of sign. It's full of passion. And so there's a big focus on your independence and your self-assertiveness. So it's fairly important. So I would really encourage you to try and be unique in whatever you do, and to balance your energies with the needs of other people as well. It's not about being selfish, it's about being full of yourself in a positive way, if that makes sense. Sometimes it's a bit hard to know the difference, but you are your frame of reference. With the South Node in Libra, this is more about where you've been, your past experiences in life, and the patterns and traits that you are bringing forward into your future and into your destiny. And this is going to end up in your house of partnerships. So it's really important, if you want a healthy, balanced relationship with a particular person, and indeed relationships with other significant people, that you learn to balance the energies between compromise and assertiveness. Okay, sometimes it's hard to do, but yeah, you may have found some balance or harmony in the past, but you may have found that you keep the peace by denying your own needs, and that's not a good thing either. So yes, it's great to avoid conflict. Libra loves to do that. However, your needs also need to be met. So the karmic lesson is all about balancing your needs and the needs of other people. All right, so that's your horoscope. Thank you so much, awesome Aries. Don't forget to check your moon sign and your ascendant as well, and have a wonderful month. I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Hello and welcome, terrific Taurus. Thank you so much for joining me for your July 2023 horoscope. Okay, let's go to the board now. I'm going to draw 2 theme cards for you for the month, and then we'll take a close look at this, your actual horoscope. Okay, so closing my eyes, what do I see for Taurus? Okay, a wedding ring here on my ring finger on the right hand suggests that you're coming to terms with something. It suggests that some energy is being integrated into your personality. That's going to give you more power and control, so that's good news. On the physical level, of course, somebody may give you a ring. It could also suggests symbolically completion. The circle turns, you return back to the start of something, like the end of a cycle and new cycle, so you return back to the start. Let's have a look and see what card we actually get. Okay, so the 5 of Swords. So this doesn't look fabulous, I must say, initially, but as you start to look at it deeper, at a deep level, you'll realize that you're becoming aware of some area in your life where there's been some sort of domination or control. Maybe it's you doing it to yourself. It might be your thoughts that are actually really sort of driving you. They could be flogging you to keep on working, for example. So it doesn't mean that it's actually another person, although it could be. It means that there's a circumstance in which you're feeling subjugated, you're feeling oppressed, you're feeling a burden, okay, in some regard. So although that doesn't sound great, it is great because you'll see up here there's a great big pair of secateurs, and there's another one here in the background, and there's also a sword. So it's about logical thinking and analysing a situation so that you can cut the cords, cut these chains, okay, and be done with this situation. Okay, so you may become aware of it in the first half of the month. Now let's have a look at the second half of the month. For you, terrific Taurus, what do I see? Okay, this is interesting. I'm seeing a priest. In the old days, in the Catholic Church particularly, I'm thinking of, but it may have been in other churches as well, you had the priest there. This one's got like a gold sash around his waist. He's sort of like a a bit of a monk looking figure, but he's a priest for some reason. He's got the incense and he's swinging the incense back and forward, back and forward. So it's basically saying it's time to spiritually cleanse yourself of any old beliefs or patterns of behaviour that allow you to be subjugated or enslaved or trapped. Okay, let's have a look and see what card we get. Okay, this is stunningly familiar in a way, except he's got, instead of incense, he's got pentagrams in his hands, and he doesn't have the gold around his waist, but he has it over his shoulder. The King of Pentacles. In what way, you might ask yourself, in what way have you been enslaved around finances? Okay, this is all about your personal finances, and this is a mature, generous sort of energy that comes in to help. And you'll see all these grapes in the background. It's sort of like saying, take some time out, have a reward, because you have been, if you are physically working in a paid job, you've been working and it's time to enjoy yourself a bit more, okay? And if you're not physically working, it could be that you've just had to be a bit tight with money. But because of the colour he's wearing, it's this sort of aubergine colour, it's saying listen to your intuition about how you spend your money and what ways you can actually use to improve your financial situation, okay? So the leader in the traditional house for money is the second house, but there's nothing there. But the ruler, I mean to say, not leader, he's the leader. The ruler here, Gemini, the ruling planet is Mercury, and Mercury is actually dashing about into 3 houses this month. So it's going to be a pretty active time, and there's going to be lots of messages come up. So money could figure also in these other houses: communication, study, family, and also creativity and leisure and pleasure. All right, so bear those 2 cards in mind, and I'm going to make this a little bit larger so that you can see better, okay? And the first thing to note is that we have this grand trine here, and we've got Mercury and the Sun conjunct here. So it's not really 2 grand trines, it's sort of one, because Jupiter and Saturn, they're single planets there, but we have this conjunction here, Mercury and the Sun. So a lot of awareness coming to you in your communications. And as I said, study may be involved. It could be something in your local area where you're hearing a lot of news around your local area. People like neighbours or people around you could be quite friendly. In fact, you may also hear something from distant family relatives or siblings or cousins, or they're, when I say distant, they may have been psychologically distant, or they could actually be geographically distant as well. Okay, so this minor grand trine, which is Saturn, Jupiter, and this Mercury Sun conjunction, is bringing, it's also called a talent triangle, and it's bringing a lot of intuition, and this intuition is focused here on you, and it's basically saying be more independent, be more assertive, and enlarge the way that you come into the world, enlarge your messages, make the world a bigger place. So, because this first house is all about your identity, okay? The other thing that's happening, the other things that are important, nodes are changing signs. I will talk about that, because this is sort of reminds me of the North Node, what you need to do for your destiny. And Venus retrograde, and also the Capricorn supermoon, which is on the 3rd of July. And it's up here in your 9th house, giving things a bit of a shake-up, again, with how you broaden your life, how you enlarge your vistas, how you study, how you deal with people, particularly from overseas or foreign connections, spirituality, and your philosophy in life, okay? Life is so much bigger, and you're going to find that out. So as soon as you can drop these issues around being controlled or controlling, alternatively, it could be you that is dominating some situation at some point as well. As soon as you can drop those, and you can move on to enlarge your life. On the 10th, Mars goes into Virgo, and this is going to bring a lot of ambition, energy, and like creativity into your life. You might also be enjoying more leisure and pleasure. You may live closer to the world of the child, and there could be some sort of competitive energy in that. You might be dealing with other children, whether they be adults or not. They might be man boys, or there could even be women that are acting like spoilt little girls or something like that. So, but there does seem to be some sort of competitive energy, and I'm picking that up psychically, but it also does go with Mars. On the 11th, Mercury goes into Leo here, bringing fresh ideas, joining this huge party here in your 4th house of home and family. There's a lot happening there, and Venus is also there, so there might be some sort of beautification of your home, or maybe your landscaping or something like that. And it could bring entertainment, so it could be like leisure and pleasure at home with your friends, where you're inviting them for dinner and there's entertainment going on. But Venus is retrograde from the 23rd, so if you are inviting people to dinner, it would be best to have them maybe a week, say the 16th, say maybe before the 16th, mid-month. That might be better, because Venus retrograde is more about your own ideas, and you sort of internalising things, what you want to do, and you're sort of maybe planning out strategies for making your home more beautiful or redecorating, something like that. Also on the 23rd, the Sun comes into the 4th house to join the party here, bringing warmth and generosity, insight and awareness. So you could have some quite brilliant ideas. And then Mercury will fly over here into the 5th house, again of creativity. You might have these brilliant ideas sort of mid-month or before, and then it comes to the stage where you're actually doing something about it and communicating with other people about these brilliant ideas, and you're getting right into details. So in Virgo, you could be looking at colours and deciding what colours, going down to the paint shop, and deciding what colours you're going to paint things and stuff like that. Now that brings us to the moon's nodes. North node is going into Aries, and the south node is going into Libra, and that's on the 18th. And this is for the next 18 months, so it's fairly important. Your north node is going into your 12th house here, and this is all about bringing up energies around your subconscious, out of your subconscious. And so there might be a definite focus on your spiritual life, on dreams, looking at how you can bring more spirituality into your life. The south node over here is also moving into your 6th house, which is Libra, and this is how you used to do things in your everyday life. This is your experiences to date, but upstairs is basically saying, yes, you did things in a certain way, you had your daily routines, you had your daily work and whatever it was that you did, but now they want you to incorporate, your destiny is calling you to incorporate more about your dreams and your visions, and to really get in touch with those subconscious forces. The last time this happened was 2006, so you might look back and see what you were doing then, because there could be some similarities coming up this month. Alrighty, so that's it. Thank you so much, Taurus. I really appreciate you watching this. Don't forget to check out your moon and your ascendant sign on this video. Have a fabulous month. Thanks and bye for now. Hello and welcome, gorgeous Geminis. I've got your July horoscope here. I'm going to draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for the month for you now. So let's go to this board. Here's your horoscope, but the cards come first. Alrighty, close my eyes. What do I see for Gemini? It's a necklace around a woman's neck. It's a strange looking necklace. I'm going back to earlier times, I don't know, the 50s or the 60s. This wasn't a thing that happened in Australia so much, at least I don't remember it. But in America, they wear those like shoelace type things tied around their throat. I really don't know what that's about, but maybe it's an old-fashioned way of looking at things. Let's see what card we get to get a bit more clarification on that. Sorry, it's a bit sort of confused or unclear. The 8 of Swords comes up, and this is basically showing us that it's your thoughts that are trapping you in some way. See all these swords into the ground. They've been grounded in physical reality, but it's been some way of tying you up. And you'll see here she's got a red blindfold on, so she can't even see what's going on. But the good news is that despite whatever entrapments there are, having that blindfold on is actually helping you to see internally where it is that you're being caught up in your thoughts, okay? Where are your thoughts tying you up? All right, let's have a look and see in the second half of the month for you gorgeous Geminis. We might get more clarity on that. Okay, yes, it is definitely about thoughts, because I just hear the words off with his head in the old days when they used to chop people's heads off. And that's basically saying your thoughts, it's almost like racing thoughts. They're taking over your ability just to feel emotionally, your ability to feel in terms of your essentially what's going on with your body, and just to be and just to exist. Your thoughts are driving you. Okay, and the card that comes up is the High Priestess. This is fabulous because it's basically saying trust your intuition. No matter what your thoughts tell you, and they'll tell you all sorts of rubbish because it's just a computer in, basically. Rubbish in, rubbish out. So it's very important to be super careful about who you associate with and what you actually listen to. So this is a penetrating type intuition that sees right down to the fundamental level. It gives you foresight, it gives you wisdom. There's a sense of mystery about this energy as well. And she actually has a very acute mind. So although she is very much into spirituality, she is the High Priestess after all, she also has a brilliant mind. So the difference, I guess, is that she knows when to stop thinking about something and to leave it be and just let it sit in the background and percolate away, and then the answer will come to her through the agency of her subconscious. Sometimes, see, she's got the Torah here written in front, this sort of scroll with Torah written on it. Sometimes organised religions may be helpful. They might give you some support, and sometimes not. Very much is an individual thing. I wouldn't be racing off to an organised religion as such, because this card doesn't really indicate that it's about organised religions. It's indicating that you should listen to yourself and your own intuition. It is a major arcana, so this is probably something to do with a major life event. Perhaps a major life event has been tying you up in some way. So it's ultimately good news. Now let me just make this a bit bigger for you and it'll be easier to see. First thing you might notice is there's two green triangles. Some would say even three, but it's not. These are not two separate triangles. These are called talent triangles or minor grand trines. It's Mercury conjunct Sun. They're both at 8 degrees. Mercury at 8 degrees and 9 minutes, and the Sun at 8 degrees and 43 minutes. Okay, so, but they're both making these very positive aspects to Jupiter and to Saturn. And the focal point is Jupiter here in your 12th house of the subconscious, okay? So this is what's making me think that it's your thoughts. This sort of confirms that it's very much your thoughts that are interfering in some way with your intuition, that what you're being called to do, and you've had the North Node here as well. The North Node has been calling you as part of your destiny to really get in touch with your subconscious contents, to look at your dreams, to look at those little flashes you may have in the daytime, particularly if you're doing something mindless like, say, having a shower or washing up. Anything to do with water can help, and you just get little flashes. Pay attention to those. Okay, so that's the first thing. And the second thing, so there's two of them, and the second one here is Neptune, Pluto, and the Moon. The Moon moves very quickly, so this will only be for the first day of the month, this second talent triangle. But again, talent triangles are very much about creativity and intuition as well. Neptune here, your spiritual life. Pluto bringing the end and the great transformation to do with maybe perhaps intimacy or the values or something that you share with another. And the moon here in your 7th house also to do with your relationships, privacy, your subconscious. So something's been tying you up, but it's going to all shift this month. It's quite a powerful month for you. Alrighty, so hurrying along, supermoon in Capricorn on the 3rd here, also shaking things up around intimacy, all the things that you value or share with other people, shared resources, for example, money, home, investments, things like that. But a supermoon is like a normal full moon on steroids because the moon comes so much closer to the earth. It can be actually 15% closer, and I think it's 7% brighter. I might have that round the wrong way, but anyway, it is definitely closer. So it does bring more oomph to the equation. On the 10th, Mars moves into Virgo here, bringing a lot of ambition and energy around your home life, or perhaps your actual physical home. And you might be contemplating cleaning up or getting a lot of work done around the home and roping in your family members to help you. Just be cautious that doesn't result in some arguments, because Mars can argue quite well and with a lot of force. The 11th sees Mercury moving into Leo here, and there's a huge party going on here in your 3rd house of communications. Mercury is likely to bring a fresh kind of energy, a new way of looking at things, some brilliant ideas and discussions as well. And they could be quite strong discussions in Leo, because Leo is the king of the jungle. And so maybe other people mightn't like that so much. But the 18th also sees a new moon in Cancer here. And this brings a new start around the things that you value. So going back to the 8th house, it's opposite the 8th house here. And so both these houses are going to be activated this month. So could be very much about your money supply or your possessions or the things that you think are important. On the 23rd, Venus is retrograde here. It goes retrograde until the 4th of September. So you might become somewhat quieter after about the 23rd. Venus is usually quite a diplomatic sign, and so maybe your diplomacy, if you're not quieter, maybe you get louder, but maybe your diplomacy is quieter. Venus likes peace and harmony, but when retrograde, maybe the energy for peace and harmony isn't there so much. On the 23rd also, the Sun goes into Leo here, joining this huge party, bringing even more energy and particularly insight and awareness around a certain situation. There could be a lot of warmth and warm discussions. I don't really think it's so much arguments, not at this stage. Maybe Mars here can help with arguments, but I think there's so much going on. It could just be a little bit tense because something's important in your discussions. It's also about study. You might have exams or assignments due or something about like that as well. You could hear from distant relatives, or there could even be something in your local area which is causing a lot of discussion with your neighbours, for example, and maybe they're doing some road work or something like that. 29th sees Mercury then going into Virgo in your house of home and family. And again, more discussions and new ideas. I want to say too, Mercury is somewhat of a trickster, so just be cautious if you've got sons, for example. Pranks and practical jokes could be on the agenda. The other thing to note is that the moon's nodes are going into Aries and Libra on the 18th. So this is quite important because they're there for 18 months. And basically, your North Node's been very much tied up in your subconscious area with dreams and spirituality and your subconscious, but it's going into your 11th house and it's going to conjunct Chiron at some point. And this is about your destiny with friends and groups. So other people could become more important to you, and that could heal you or heal them in some way. The South Node is over here in your 6th house. It'll be going into your 5th house here in Libra. And that's basically about the way that you used to do things, your past experiences, your patterns of behaviour, and your traits and that sort of thing. And so you're being called to balance what is necessary between you, between your friends, and leisure and pleasure as well. Bring some leisure and pleasure into your life. Go out with your friends and have more to do with your friends and other groups. It's also your hopes and dreams as well. Alrighty, so that's it. Thank you so much. You've got a very exciting month. Do let me know in the comments how you get on letting go of these old thoughts and these old patterns of behaviour that haven't been serving you, and how you're going to manage your intuition. Okay, thanks again. Have a wonderful month, everyone, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks again. Bye for now. Hello and welcome everybody. I'm here with your Cancer horoscope for July 2023. It's quite a big month coming up this month. There's a lot happening for different people, and you're one of the cardinal signs, so you're going to be quite affected by the change in signs, by the moon's nodes. Let's have a look now. That's my cat Leopard in the background, if you can hear him meowing. Okay, so a number of things happening, but first thing we'll do is pick 2 tarot cards as theme cards for the month for you, Caring Cancerians. All right, what do I see? I see a ladder, and so this is basically saying ascending in consciousness, evolving, moving forward, which is good news. Look, sometimes it might feel like heavy going and you're going slower than you would like, but it doesn't really matter because you are moving, okay? Even if you feel stuck, there are still things happening going on behind the scenes in your subconscious that you might not be aware of. The card that comes up for the first half of the month, I'm going to take that one underneath there. It's the 4 of Wands. It's basically saying have a little break, have a little picnic, enjoy the harvest, because you may have been working on something and there's lots of green leaves here. So growth and development is happening. Spirit is pleased with you because you are accomplishing something. She's dressed in sort of a mustardy yellow here, which is the solar plexus. Maybe you've been thinking about your diet, your digestion or something like that, and having a bit of a clean-up. But this is quite a pleasant, nice card. And let's have a look at the second half of the month now. What do I see for you, Caring Cancerians? Door closing. Well, as one door closes, another door opens, okay? And so there might be some, it seems to be a bit of a theme so far. There does seem to be endings around people, whether that be their own patterns of behaviour, their traits that they have, and something new coming up, or maybe something to do with work that's finishing up. The card that comes up is the Wheel of Fortune. This is a major arcana card. It doesn't really indicate by itself whether it's positive or negative. I know people want to know if it's positive or negative, but I actually see even the negative things, I see them as being quite positive in the long run. This is basically saying no matter what's happening in your life, the Wheel of Fortune is continually turning, okay, and nothing stays the same. You are changing, and this is a major arcana card, so it's fairly important. All right, let's make this a bit bigger so that you can see. The first thing to note is there is a minor grand trine here, otherwise known as a talent triangle. We have Saturn in your 9th house. Maybe you felt somewhat restricted over the last few years, particularly where you haven't been able to grow your life as you would like, okay? Maybe you want to go overseas, you couldn't do it, or you couldn't travel or study or do something that you wanted to do. But now with this, there's some sort of extra energy coming in, and we have Jupiter here in your house of friends and groups and associates, okay? It's also your hopes and dreams, and with Jupiter, all of these things are going to be enlarged, okay? This planet here, Saturn, is lending his energy to give some structure and form to these relationships with other people. We also have a Mercury-Sun conjunction here, bringing extra energy, insight, awareness and communications to this situation. This is very, very creative, intuitive and talented type of energy that you're going to experience here in your house of friends and hopes and dreams. The nodes are also changing signs. Venus is going retrograde, and there's a Capricorn super moon over here in your house of significant partnerships. Okay, so a super moon here means that energies around your relationships are going to be amplified, but they're going to be done, this is going to be done in a practical, down-to-earth kind of way. So it may not be immensely passionate, but it could be things, to give you an example, where your relationship is strengthened by your partner who goes out and decides he's going to build you a new deck or something like that. Something practical and down to earth is going to happen. It could give your relationship a bit of a shake-up. Maybe he wants to put the deck on the front of the house, but you want the deck on the back of the house or something like that. Okay, so there could be a bit of a shake-up in your relationships. Maybe the relationship is very practical already and you want some excitement or some sort of adventure in your life. Maybe you would love to get away, you and your partner, and go travelling, but there's been things that have stopped you for some reason. But it's not always going to be the case, because the Wheel of Fortune is constantly changing. On the 10th, Mars goes into Virgo here, bringing a lot of ambition and energy around your communications. If you're studying, this is quite a good force. It's going to give you more energy for study. There's also more energy for going around your local area, communicating with people nearby, especially your neighbours, and even family members that live away in some distant state, or perhaps have been psychologically distant in some way. Mercury goes into Leo here on the, 11th. So on the 11th of the month, there's quite a big focus around your finances. We've got Lilith, Venus, and Mars there at the beginning of the month will conjunct. And so huge amount going on about personal finances. With Mercury, there's likely to be some fresh new ideas about how you can improve your money or get your finances under control, get them organised in some way. Then we have, on the 18th, we have new moon in Cancer, which is here in your house, and it's going to bring a new beginning around your identity. July is quite a transformational month for many people, and so a new moon means some sort of fresh start. It could also be related to your appearance. Maybe you buy some new clothes or some new shoes or something like that, and it's all about how you present yourself to the world and how you get your message out there into the world. Venus is retrograde in Leo from the 23rd until the 4th of September here. And so you might find, and I watch Venus, because Venus does love to buy expensive things, especially in this house here. So she's going retrograde, which means that you might be really tempted to buy some, fritter your money away, but because it's retrograde, these are only thoughts and you may not act on them. Okay, so the temptation may be there, but it might not be as strong as usual. Do watch for overspending. On the 23rd, the Sun goes into Leo as well, bringing, again, around your finances, bringing insight, bringing awareness, and bringing some degree of comfort. Okay, so you'll be feeling better in the second half of the month, and maybe you can afford a little break or some way of improving your life and enjoying the harvest. The 29th sees Mercury going into Virgo as well, bringing lots of communications into your communication house. So it could be a busy, active time. You could be doing a lot of domestic things. You could be getting your paperwork in order, paying bills and those sorts of things. And with Mars there's a lot of energy and activity for that as well, getting your studies up to date. And if there's anything going on in the local area, you could be discussing things. Maybe the council wants to approve some Taj Mahal type house or something, a huge house that's not in keeping with the area, for example. There could be a lot of discussions about that. Then we have the 18th of the 7th. The moon's nodes are changing sign going, the North Node's going into Aries here in your 10th house. And this is quite significant because it lasts for 18 months. So this is your future, and it's all about your career. It's about your status, improving your status, your reputation, and also your relationship to authority figures, including parents. And so this Moon's node in Aries is all about your independence, your self-assertion, setting yourself free in these relationships, okay? Setting yourself free to do with career, being free so that you can do the career that you love, basically. And as a cardinal sign, even though this is Aries, but Aries is a cardinal sign, and then you're the next cardinal sign, this will probably affect you pretty strongly, as well as Libra and Capricorn as well. And this will be until July 25, okay? The other thing to note is that the South Node here is going into the 4th house of home and family. And this was the way that your patterns of behaviour used to be. These were your experiences around the house and home and how you acted. But you're being called away from the home to be more in the outside world, and especially related to career. And maybe this is something online that you're doing. So you could be in your home, but your focus is on the outside world. Alrighty, so that's it, caring Cancerians. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that. And don't forget to check out your moon and rising sign as well. Have a lovely month. Thank you and bye for now. Hello and welcome, lovely Leo. I've got your July horoscope here. There's a bit happening this month, so let's go to the board now and draw the 2 cards as theme cards for the month for you. Alrighty, that's your horoscope. But these 2 cards are first up. Closing my eyes. What do I see for you? Okay, so there's been a record playing. I can see it here on a turntable going round and round in circles. Maybe you've felt like you're going round and round in circles in some way. However, I also see somebody picking up the pick arm and moving it across, taking that record off the record player. It's rather old-fashioned record player that you would have seen around the 1960s and or maybe 70s even. And so these are possibly pattern records from your parents or your grandparents perhaps. Let's have a look and see. I'm going to take that one under there. The card that comes up is the 5 of Wands. Okay, so you'll see there she's got a lot of flames coming out of her fingertips. So she's feeling particularly passionate about something. There could be a little bit of struggle here for dominance or control, and you're struggling to manage your life and keep your life as you want it, but somebody else may want control as well. So just be aware, make really firm boundaries and let them know how far they can go with you, and then whatever you have to do to stop the situation. But firm boundaries are called for here. There's somebody trying to tell you what to do. Okay, now the second half of the month, what do I see? Closing the door on somebody. This could be like a friend or maybe even a relative of some type. I don't feel like they're particularly close to you. They're sort of like nuisance value. Oh, that's a terrible thing to say, I know, but there is a nuisance factor there. Okay, let's have a look and see what card we get. The card that comes up is the 4 of Cups. Reminiscing is the word I get straight off. This is about old love affairs, old relationships, old partnerships, the way things used to be. There was some sort of love there underneath as a foundation, and there's a strong spiritual connection that has been there, but there's also some despair or sadness around it as well. The thing to note, and I don't know if you can see on your device how clear this is, but the thing to note is she's wearing a green top, which is for growth, of course, but there's a lot of butterflies here, and these are new ideas that can come into your life despite the sadness. So there might be some sort of regret or despondency about a situation, but Spirit is handing you a cup now, and this is for new ideas and a new start. So no matter what's happened in the past, you can make a new start in your life. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, now let's make this a little bit bigger and you'll be able to see better. Hopefully you can understand my chicken scrawl writing there, but maybe not. It says minor grand trine, which I'll talk about that in a moment. Nodes change signs, Venus retrograde and Capricorn supermoon. This minor grand trine is also known as a talent triangle. It's involving Saturn in your 8th house. It's involving Jupiter in your house of careers. It's also involving Mercury, Sun, conjunction here in your hopes and dreams, or perhaps your friends or groups or associates, the people you normally associate with. There may have been some restriction here because the 8th house is about shared resources. It's also about inheritances, wills, funerals, but it's energy that you shared with somebody else. And it's at a very, very deep level because it is traditionally, it's Scorpio that rules this house, which is ruled by Pluto is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I'm getting a sore throat. And so this is some pretty deep stuff that is coming up. And Saturn has put some limitations or some restrictions around you. But on the positive side, it can also give you structure in your life and some sort of boundaries. And so all of this energy is fusing together and it's pointed towards your career zone or perhaps your status or reputation or the relationships you had with authority figures. So I think what's going on here is that you're about to become your own authority figure so that you don't need people telling you what to do in your career. And so there's going to be some sort of expansion in your life. You may decide that there's some fundamental change around that, particularly to do with the North Node, because this is the direction you're headed in with the North Node. I'll talk about that more in a moment. The supermoon in Capricorn here in your everyday life is giving it a bit of a shake-up. And there could be some sort of turbulence in what you do on a daily basis, okay? And it's like the shake-up that you need to have. So it could be work, it could also involve your health or your well-being. That's on the 3rd, by the way. On the 10th, Mars goes into Virgo, bringing you a lot of ambition and a lot of energy around your personal finances, okay? So you've also got in the 8th house Saturn, as I just mentioned before, and it's like these two houses, 2 and 8, are activating each other. So it could be focus on career and money in July, seems quite likely. We've got Mercury moving into Leo here, and there's a bit of a party going on in Leo, and happy birthday to all early Leos, because the sun's moving in there as well, and that'll be on the 23rd, and that's going to bring a lot of insight and awareness, and it's about your identity and how you appear in the world and how you approach the world. So there's going to be some new insights, there's going to be some new communications, and you might just feel that little bit brighter with these new things that are coming in. On the 29th, Mercury's going into Virgo right here, joining Mars, bringing a lot of communications and new ideas as well as ambition around your finances, okay? And then I wanted to talk about the moon's nodes. On the 18th, the North Node is going into Aries, okay? So it's been here for the last 18 months, it's been focused on your career, but now it's going into Aries. It's going to be quite bold about growing your life, broadening your horizons, and particularly to do with travel. Now you have Chiron there as well. There could be some lack of confidence about traveling alone or where you're going. So it could be something happens so that you become more confident about traveling. Also about study. You might be thinking about undertaking some either formal study or study that actually takes a fair degree of time to do. There's probably more to do with overseas countries. The North Node is your future life direction, and here in this house it's going to be very much tied up with overseas countries, people in overseas countries. The exotic becomes more familiar to you or more appealing to you. Now for some of you, you may well go to live in another country, you may travel to another country, and I can just feel it's like your whole life is now about to finally, I want to use the word explode, but in a positive sense, explode with brightness or explode with opportunity or something like that. The world is a really big place, and because of this, you're going to understand people from all different types of perspectives, okay? Now, so that's in Aries. It's going to happen quite spontaneously. You won't have to give much thought about it. It'll probably just like you'll wake up and then you'll just think, gosh, I'd like to go to New Zealand or England or the US or wherever. And this is going to be especially for the next 18 months. So you could travel several times. In fact, it's very much going to affect Aries, Cancer, Libra and Capricorn. So even though you're not in that cardinal group, you will still be affected to some extent. And this will be until July 25. And also I want to talk about the South Node here, which has been in your home. Your home and family has been a big focus for you, particularly over the last 18 months. But now this is changing because the South Node's going into Libra, and this is your house of communications and study and everyday type things, and also distant relatives in your local area. And you might find you had some sort of associations or patterns of energy around the way that you communicated, and you're being called to look at that as past and then to turn your mind towards the future and look at the big wide world. So you're making an adjustment from your sort of more private personal life into the big wide world. So I think that's quite exciting for you. Venus retrograde in Leo here on the 23rd. Venus is often associated with love and relationships because it's in your first house, your sign. It's love of yourself in a sense, in a positive sense. Because it's retrograde, it's very much internalized. So it's not about being braggadocious or anything like that. It's about how you approach the world. And Libra is also very diplomatic and sort of caring about other people too, and likes fairness. And so you might start to have these thoughts, but you don't necessarily voice them. Okay, so that's fairly important. It will affect how you feel about yourself. Okay, so that's basically it for the month. I just want to wish you a very happy month. Don't forget to watch your moon and your ascendant sign as well. Okay, have a wonderful month, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now. Hello and welcome, Vivacious Virgo. Okay, I've got your July horoscope here. Let's draw the cards and see what the main themes for the month are. Okay, so closing my eyes, what do I see? Oh, there's some stairs here to the right, and there's a shovel on the ground in front of me. Now, a shovel usually means something's dead, but it hasn't been buried. You're sort of going to be doing a little bit of hard work in that you're like digging a hole to bury something from the past. Alrighty, the stairs on the right mean ascending in consciousness. You're going up in the world, which is good. But in order to go up in the world, you have to finish with the past first. And this is all about the moon's nodes here in your third house going into your second house, and your ninth house going into your eighth house. But we'll get to that in a moment. So the first card I get for you is the Wheel of Fortune. This is basically saying nothing stays the same. It's time to move forward. The planets are in constant motion around the solar system, and so too nothing stays the same in our life forever, and so we have to let go of the past so that we can reinvigorate our lives. So it's a major arcana card, so it's fairly important. Some major, this is like prep, if you like, for some major life-changing event that could be coming up. All right, let's have a look in the second half of the month. What do I see for you, Vivacious Virgos? All right, I see a fence and a gate and a woman opening the gate. And so this says to me you may have had boundaries in place in your life, and now you want to grow your life. You want things to change a little bit. And maybe it's just a bit boring the way it is at the moment. The world is a big place. You also have a lot going on here in your ninth house. And you have this minor grand trine or talent triangle focusing, the focal point is Jupiter in your 9th house. So that makes complete sense to me. Let's have a look and see what the second part of the month is. The Hermit card, time to spend some time alone so you can get in contact with your subconscious contents, and this can prepare you to be going out into the world. She's standing here on a mountaintop as you do, which is some sort of challenge to be climbed. There's also a wolf dog here, which is about learning, and learning is to do with the 9th house. Maybe you're thinking about some sort of formal study. You may have had an interest in something for a while, and now it's like, well, we want to go deeper into this and learn about this, even if you learn off your own bat and you don't even get involved with formalised study. But certainly going into deeper levels of spirituality, philosophy, learning, travel, education, retraining, foreign countries, the exotic becomes more appealing. You have 2 major arcana cards, which is a bit unusual. I think Aries is the other sign that has 2, but it is quite unusual for 2 to come up. This is a major transformational month for you, vivacious Virgos, okay? 2 cards of that level confirm it. On the 3rd, we have a supermoon in Capricorn here in your 5th house of creativity, shaking things up, especially if you've been in a bit of a rut or you've been a bit bored. It's like, wake up, because there's all this creativity underneath that you could be unleashing onto the world. It's also to do with children and living closer to the world of the child. You may have more to do with physical children or your own inner child. It's leisure and pleasure as well. If you haven't been getting out and having a fun time, maybe you might consider doing that, okay, with this supermoon coming close to the earth here in Capricorn. This talent triangle or minor grand trine here with Saturn, the focal point Jupiter, and Mercury Sun conjunction here in your house of home and dreams and associates or friends. These planets here are putting their energy, all of this is blending, and the energy is going into Jupiter, which is already a very large, energetic, magnanimous type planet. So travel, these things travel, philosophy, education, the exotic, these could become much more important to you this month. Okay, you've already got the moon's node there, but it is moving away into Aries, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Mars goes into Virgo on the 10th, and that's bringing a lot of energy and ambition around your identity, on how you approach the world, also your appearance. You may buy new clothes. It's like you want to update how you present yourself to the world or how you approach the world. We have Mercury going into Leo here, putting a focus on communications with your subconscious. This could be via dreams, the little flashes you have in the daytime, especially if you're in the shower, washing up or things like that. They just sort of float or drift across your mind. It's up to you to pay attention to what's going on in your head. There's a bit of a party going on here in your subconscious, and so there could be lots of things coming up. Maybe something to do with the past. We've got Lilith there. There might be some old hurts that you need to look at or something like that as well. We've got a new moon on the 18th here in Cancer, and here in Cancer, and this is also to do with friendships and new beginnings. You could meet some very nice people this month, or new associates or new groups that you might join. And especially because you've got Mercury conjunct Sun, there's a lot of communications and talking and that sort of thing around it. It's also your hopes and dreams as well. You may think up something new that is more exciting and appealing to you. On the 23rd, Venus goes retrograde in Leo until the 4th of September here in your subconscious. And it's not a bad place to have Venus retrograde there, because it becomes more internalized. So again, the focus on your spirituality and what is going on deep within Venus does love affection and beauty and harmony, so do try to bring those into your life, and that will help with whatever issues are rising up out of your subconscious. On the 23rd, Sun goes into Leo, your subconscious as well, joining the party here, big party around your spirituality. There's lots of insight and awareness coming through. You're going to pick up the messages from upstairs. On the 29th, Mercury goes into Virgo, joining Mars, bringing new communications and brilliant flashes of insight around your appearance and your authentically you identity, which is completely unique and unlike anybody else. So it's like you're going to update yourself in some way. The other thing to note are the moon's nodes, the north node going into Aries and the south node going into Libra for the next 18 months, affecting all cardinal signs. You're not a cardinal sign, but it will still affect you to some degree. And it's quite an exciting time in the sense of clearing stuff, your destiny here for the next 18 months, your future. The North Node coming in here, it's going to conjunct Chiron, which could bring some sort of healing is in your destiny. And this is around the things that you share with other people. It could be intimacy, or it could be actual things like investments, inheritances, wills, that sort of thing. But anything that you, even loans or taxes, something that you share with somebody else is going to come up for healing. The South Node is going into your second house, which is all about your finances and the things that you value. And in Libra, Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus looks after money. This is personal money. And so you're going to become very much aware in the way that you handled money, the patterns around it, your trays around spending money and saving money and organising money. So you'll look back and you'll be able to weigh up whether that's what you want to do to continue on, or what is your destiny calling you towards. Maybe your destiny's calling you towards sharing your resources with somebody else, perhaps, okay? And that could bring a wounding at first, or remind you of a wounding, a situation happens and you're reminded of it, so that then it can heal for good, okay? So it's fairly important, and as I said, 2 major arcana are very important. Okay, so that's it, Vivacious Virgo. Thank you so much for watching today. I appreciate it. And don't forget to check out your moon sign and your ascendant as well. Have a wonderful month. Thanks and bye for now. Hello, lovely Libra. I've got your July horoscope. Well, some interesting things happening this month for everyone. Let's go to the board now. I'm going to draw your 2 tarot cards as theme cards for the month, and then we'll come to your horoscope. Alrighty, so first half of the month for Libra. Okay, 2 things. Well, it's 1 thing actually, but 2 points. There's a cross out here in space. In spirit, you have been sacrificing a lot lately. I feel like it's not just lately, I feel like it's over a number of years. And now I see the cross there in space. It's very clear to me it's been orbiting around the Earth. So this sacrifice has been going around and around the Earth. And it's going to break out of the orbit and move away from the Earth. So the sacrifice is over for you. So there's some sort of major transformation this month. This is very exciting news. That card is upside down, but we don't do reverse cards because there's plenty of cards in here that are difficult enough. All right, I'm going to do that one there. So the card that comes up is the 4 of Wands. It's funny, today I've been having the same cards come up for different star signs. It's time for a bit of a break. See if you can reward yourself with a little picnic or maybe a little trip away or something like that, and that will help bring energies of vitality back into your life. You could be quite tired, in fact. So something where you can enjoy the harvest of your work. So many of you have been working hard. So 4 of Wands, some sort of bounty, some sort of happiness coming to you. You've done the hard yards. It's about to get easier soon. This month, actually. In the second half of the month, what do I see for Libra? Big pair of scissors. Yes, cut off the past. There's something like a tendril, or like, it's not actually an umbilical cord, but it's a bit like that. It's actually again out in space, and it's like an umbilical cord between different modules of a space station or something like that. But you're going to set, it's like somebody else's space station has come up against your space station. They've been using your resources, basically. In spirit, you've been letting them have oxygen and food and fuel and whatever else they need, but it's draining you. So you're about to cut somebody loose in a good way. In spirit, it doesn't mean that you're cutting them loose in your physical life, okay? It just means that blood sucking of energy, because it's a bit like a parasite in some ways, if you could look at it that way. It's just that you're going to be more clear about it, and you're going to set boundaries. Okay, the card that comes up is the Death card. That says it all. It's all about the end of something so that a new thing can begin. It's got nothing to do with physical death at all. It's to do with the end of a cycle of energy, a pattern of energy that has just been blood sucking off you. Okay, so that card has also come up today, as well as the Four of Wands for other star signs. So I don't know, I shuffle them before I start, I shuffle them while I do them, but there seems to be the same cards coming up. All right, so let's make that a bit bigger. You'll be able to see better. First thing, we have a minor grand trine, or what's known as a talent triangle here. We have Mercury conjunct Sun in your house of career, so something to do with your career, or maybe your status, online reputation, or authority figures. And then that's making a nice angle here to Saturn, which is going to help you with some structure and some boundaries. And it's to do with enlarging your energy around the shared finances, the money or the resources that you share with somebody else. Okay, so it could be to do with investments, it could be to do with wills or inheritances, taxes, loans, or something like that. But these career energies and this Saturn here in your work, house of work, everyday activities and health, they've got this focal point here, Jupiter. And so there's a lot of energy, blended energy going into that which you share with others. If you are in business, you may change your advertising, because it's like, for example, you're spending a lot of money on advertising, it's not working. Somebody once said that, only half the advertising works, but that's the trick, isn't it, is to know which half. And so, yeah, I feel like you're going to cut somebody off, something's coming to an end, and there's going to be something come, a new beginning that's going to replace it, and it could be even better for you financially, okay? So that's good news. On the 3rd, the supermoon here in Capricorn in your house of home, and also family gets a bit of a shake-up on a practical level, and it could be a little bit turbulent. Maybe it's to do with privacy issues, or maybe it's to do with women, or particularly your mother. Home and family are all involved. Excuse me. Also on the 10th, Mars goes into Virgo up here, your 12th house. You may become more interested in spiritual matters, particularly anything where, you're meditating, looking down, deep down within yourself, okay? So you might be quite sort of energetic around it, or you might be quite driven to find out what is going on in your subconscious. It's a good thing. Mars isn't really at home there because it's more active and energetic, wants you to go outside and run a marathon or something. Yeah, so it never works with me. You can make it work for you if you really get into meditating and looking within and start reading about astrology. Watch a lot of astrology YouTube videos with good astrologers on YouTube, for example. Then we have on the 11th, Mercury going into Leo. Here, a lot of conversations with people. This is very active, your house of homes, hopes and dreams, and also to do with friends and groups, okay? So it's a bit of a party going on this month here, so you could find you're socialising more, and there's more communications and brilliant ideas around your friends, and particularly your Leo friends, if you have any. 18th is a new moon in Cancer here, bringing a fresh start to your career. Something changed, and then what happened, and it says it here with this card, it's the end of something, so something new begins. And I wouldn't worry about it. It might be scary before it happens, but yeah, I have the distinct impression that you're going to end up in a more favourable position. There's something here I can see about transferring your weight from one foot to the other foot. It's like you've been relying on something a bit too heavily, and then you transfer your weight to the other foot. So it's about balancing up your thinking and your being, the male and female energies within. On the 23rd, Venus goes retrograde here in Leo, and so you'll be thinking more. It's not about externalizing into the outside world, but you'll be thinking more about your hopes and dreams, particularly to do with relationships or perhaps finances. Also on the 23rd, the sun moves in here, bringing lots of insight and awareness to anything you might be worried about, in how to get your hopes and dreams actually manifested in the physical world. The sun brings comfort and some degree of security, so don't worry so much, because you can be a bit of a worrywart sometimes, and it's like the fear of something is worse than the actual thing. On the 29th, Mercury goes into Virgo here, bringing messages from your subconscious. And this is good. It'll be in your dreams, insight, intuition. Your spiritual life is really powering. Now, something very significant, the moon's nodes are changing sign on the 18th, the north node going into Aries here, which puts your karma, or your destiny, I should say, your destiny on your relationships. So you might become more focused on the significant relationships around you, and there's Chiron there as well. So some sort of healing could take place in the next 18 months. With Chiron, sometimes we have to go through a bit of an icky kind of stage where we are reminded of a previous wound, and it could be sort of hurt again, so that you put your focus on it, so then it becomes healed. When you move your awareness, you might not be fully aware of how you were hurt in relationships, and then you go through a period of healing, and things become better as a result. Okay, so that's ultimately good news. The other node, the south node, is moving into Aries for you, and so this is how you used to do things. You used to be more independent perhaps, or more assertive. Now what you're being called to do is to balance up your needs and the needs of the other person, the significant person in your life. Hopefully you've got somebody who's significant to you. Otherwise, it could be the dualities of male and female, or the opposites within you. This is about your needs versus the other person's needs, and how you can be independent and be assertive and still be in a healthy relationship. So it's not about codependence at all, and it's not about selfishness at all. It's about doing what's right for both parties. So that's pretty exciting. This will be going on until July 2025. Try to remember what you were doing in July 2006. It's a bit of a while ago. There could be some similarities here. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much for listening, lovely Libra. I appreciate that. Have a fabulous month. I'm sure you will, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now. Hello and welcome, sensational Scorpios. I've got your July horoscope. There's a bit happening too. Let's have a look now at the tarot cards, which are going to be like theme cards for the month for you. Let's have a little look-see. Closing my eyes now for Scorpio. Okay, there's a key in front of me. You've got the key in your hands. Maybe you don't realise that you do, but you do. So you've got the ability to carry out what you want to carry out. There's a sense of hesitancy or uncertainty with it, I must say, though maybe you're not absolutely sure. Let's see what we see in the cards. Okay, the Ten of Wands. This suggests that you feel oppressed or maybe burdened down by something. Okay, you want to move on, however you're tired, perhaps exhausted, jaded, unmotivated. You were motivated at some point because Wands is a very motivating sign. The good news is that this time is just about to be over, the time of you carrying burdens, and it means that you're going to release something that will make your life a bit less burdensome. There's a hill at the background here, like a mountain. Okay, so this has been some challenge that you've already accomplished. You might not be aware that you've accomplished anything, but you have. There's a lot of green in this card, so that indicates growth and development and eventual success if you choose to put down the past. Okay, so something from the past is very tiring and it needs to be put down so that you can move forward. Okay, that's the first half of the month. You will be becoming aware of what that burden is. Now, the second half of the month for you, Scorpio, and I do get, you are a water sign, and I do get the sense of that. So it's like emotions, dealing with emotions, and you've got physical things you have to do, but the emotions do seem to be getting in the way. Okay, what else do I see? Yes, so here's another little vision, and it's like a grave site, digging a grave. So something's over and it's died. However, and digging the grave is even such an effort to even do that. But yes, that's what needs to be done so that you can move forward. The card that comes up, this one underneath, there's something underneath that's sort of pulling me. No, I'm going to go for this one here, and it's the Seven of Pentacles. This also suggests a lack of motivation, feeling tired, and it's about your money. And it's like you've planted some seeds about growing your finances. Perhaps maybe you had a side hustle, or you wanted to start a little business or something like that. Or maybe you were looking for a pay rise and you're waiting. Again, it's like you have to take action. It's not just going to fall out of the sky. You will take action at some point. However, if here you see she's planted plants, so they're only going to grow in their own good time. So this is a balance, isn't it? How much time do you spend waiting around, and when do you cut the umbilical cord and go? So that's what you've got to figure out. But this is saying be patient a little bit longer, okay? Just a little bit longer. There we go. All right, now let's have a look at your horoscope. I'm going to make this bigger, like that. Bear these cards in mind because they've got a lot to say. On the upside, you do have a thing called a talent triangle here, and this is really good because it brings a lot of creativity around your partnerships, your significant partnerships, your creativity, here we've got the Sun Mercury conjunction, so communications. So this is going to bring some sort of change in a relationship, but it's a creative change. It's a change that involves a lot of intuition and some sort of skill or talent. So it could be a work related partnership or something like that, but there's some sort of talent involved here. So that's a good thing. The other points I want to highlight are the nodes are changing signs. I'll talk about all of these. Venus is retrograde this month, Capricorn supermoon, and that minor grand trine that I just mentioned. Okay, on the 3rd, the supermoon in Capricorn down here in your 3rd house of communications is having a bit of a shake-up. So just do be careful of your communications. There could be something a bit too tumultuous regarding the study, or perhaps going on in your local area. Because it's a supermoon, the moon is closer than normal, and so you might feel the energy more so this month. And as I was mentioning before, it was like emotions. I could get this sense of emotions coming up. So it'll be, the supermoon will be part of that, giving everything a shake up. On the 10th, Mars goes into Virgo, and that's up here in your house of hopes and dreams, and also friends, groups and associations, you may feel more ambitious to really go after your hopes and dreams this month. On the 11th, Mercury moves into Leo here. This is your house of career, and look what's going on. It's like a big party in there. So there does seem to be a bit of a focus on your career, or perhaps your reputation, or maybe even dealing with an authority figure like a parent. We have the new moon in Cancer on the 18th in your 9th house. It's the house of the higher mind, and so there's a new beginning where you may be learning something, or perhaps you're even contemplating travel, or there's some association with people from other countries. Philosophy and spirituality also get a fresh breeze blowing through your life. Venus is retrograde in Leo until the 4th of September, and that's on the 23rd. Venus up here, and so it will be retrograde, and it just means that there's a lot to think about. You'll be internalizing what is going on with your career, relationships, your bosses, if you have any bosses, and possibly any even romantic involvements with people where you work. But Venus retrograde just means things go a little bit quieter. You're thinking more about things. There might be some sort of distance between you and a special other person, particularly to do with work, or perhaps the other person is an authority figure of some description. Then we have the sun going into Leo here as well, bringing insight and awareness on the 23rd, and then you have some sort of flash of brilliant insight so you understand what's going on. That could bring contentment or some sort of feeling of security or warmth as well. On the 29th, Mercury goes into Virgo, joining Mars, bringing a lot of communications and fresh ideas around your hopes and dreams, and also your friends, groups and associations. Now, very importantly, the moon's nodes are changing signs. So the north node is going into Aries and the south node is going into Libra for the next 18 months. And this will be until January 2025. So last time this happened was in 2006. So if you cast your mind back to then, that might give you some sort of clue about what's likely to come. Whatever you were doing then, there's some sort of similarities that are going to occur again. And we see here that your south node here, I'll talk about north node first. Your north node here was in Taurus, here in your 7th house, and it's going into your 6th house, so into Aries. So there might have been a bit of a focus, more of a focus on the practical aspects of relationships that's now changing to give you more energy to surge forward on a daily basis, whether that's your routine, your normal daily routine, or in daily work, or perhaps even with your health. But this is part of your destiny, so it's important to follow those urges. You'll see here the south node's going into the 12th house, and this is more about your experience and your patterns of behaviour, energetic patterns. So they're going more into the house of the goddess, so they're receding into the background. Your history and your experiences become less important because you're going to break new ground, so to speak. You're going to let go of the past, which is what these cards are calling you to do, and this will give you more energy. So that's fantastic news for you. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out your moon sign and your ascendant as well. Have a great month. Bye for now. Hello, savvy Sagittarius. Well, I've got your horoscope here, so let's go to the board now. I'm going to draw the 2 tarot cards as theme cards for you. Okay, here's your horoscope. We'll come to that in a moment. But the first half of the month, let me see. What do I see for you? Okay, what is this thing? It's going around and around in circles. It's like some sort of compass. Maybe it's about you finding your direction in life. There seems to be some uncertainty here about what direction you want to go in. Okay, let's get more clarification in the cards. The card that comes up is the Eight of Pentacles. Okay, have you been unsure about what your career is or what you're supposed to be doing in terms of making a living? Maybe you're already self-funded and making a living might not be such a deal for you, but you still got to spend your time doing something. This is suggesting that you do spiritually guided work. It could be physical work of some description using your hands, and it's like you're creative, but there's a spiritual intent or a spiritual energy in there. The red legs, it's all about taking action, and the blue top here, it's all about expressing yourself. This is also about being suitably rewarded for your endeavors. As long as you're doing something coming from a spiritual place, you'll be fine. Your direction will become clear to you. You do have a little bit of energy going on here with Mars and Mercury in your career zone, and especially in your daily routine. I'll talk more about that in a second, because you've got a thing called a talent triangle, which is a minor grand trine, and that's affecting your daily work and your habits and your health. Okay, so the second half of the month for you, what do I see? Oh, going around the corner, definite change of direction. Here we go, it's the Seven of Swords. You can look back on the past, just don't get stuck there. It's a bit like the story in the Bible, Lot's wife, and God said to Moses, don't turn back and look at Sodom or Gomorrah while I'm nuking them, basically. Don't look back, or you could turn to salt, a pillar of salt or stone. It's basically saying, yes, you can look back, but don't fixate on it. So don't go over and over and over your regrets or things that happened in the past. You're moving forward, okay? So this card is traditionally called the Thief in the Night card, and it's about your self-respect. Yeah, sure, it could be possessions being stolen or money, but it's more about your self-respect being stolen, your time, your energy. So don't waste those on past things that have already happened that you can't undo anyway. The yellow legs are solar plexus energy. That's actually likely to be quite successful and carry you forward. She's got some ideas here in her hands, and she's actually planted a few of them in the ground, these swords. So that suggests that they're grounded in practical reality. It's actually ultimately a good card, even if it's coming out of a bad situation. So we've got these tents here with the flaps open here in the tent. So this can signify travel, but more likely it's about your chakras opening up and the Kundalini energy being released up your spine, okay, as you take on some new ideas for something new in your life. Okay, so bear those cards in mind. I'll make this bigger. And we're going to look now at your horoscope. All right, a bit happening here, and I did refer previously to the talent triangle here. So Saturn, the Sun, it's a Sun-Mercury conjunction, bringing a lot of brilliant ideas about shared resources with important people or partners. Sometimes it's taxes, loans, bank loans, superannuation, or even real estate or investments. And there's some sort of structure around this. It could be the family home, because Saturn here in the fourth house, it's some sort of structure, or even possibly a restriction. You might have a home that's sort of getting you down, and it might have too many memories. For example, you want to move on. This causes a focal point here, directing the energy to Jupiter in your sixth house of daily habits, work, your everyday work, and also your well-being and your health. So more energy coming to you. You may feel more energetic and fit and ready to take on some new ideas and maybe possibly some new work. And I'll talk about Mars and Mercury now in a moment. But on the 3rd of July, we've got a supermoon in Capricorn here in your money, shaking things up. So if you haven't been thinking about money and career, you're likely to start thinking about it, and you may feel a bit shaken up and think, well, I'm not happy with the way it is now, so I've got to do something different, and you'll come up with some idea of what you're supposed to do. On the 10th, Mars goes into Virgo up here, your career zone, And that's when you become full of ambition and drive to succeed in a career, or perhaps succeed with some sort of authority type figure. Mercury moves into Leo here, and there's a big party of planets here in your ninth house, which is all about growing your life in some way. It's called the house of the higher mind. You may grow your life through study. You may meet new people, particularly people from other countries or people with exotic foreign connections. You may look at your spiritual life or even philosophy, but it's time to realise at a deep level that the world is a very big place, and you need to get out there a little bit more, just a tad. So Mercury will be going in here on the 11th, and it's going to bring communications. It's going to bring brilliant new ideas about how you can get out into the world. The new moon is going into Cancer on the 18th here, bringing a new start to any joint financial ventures or shared property or shared resources, and also intimacy, because you do share that with another person. And then on the 23rd, Venus is retrograde in Leo. Now, this can mean Venus retrograde from the 23rd of July until the 4th of November can mean there's some distance forms between you and a significant partner. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be them going away for work, or it could be that you're both just busy and you're internalising your feelings and your thoughts and just thinking things over. So it's not a negative state of affairs. It's just basically a state where things are internalised and you need to think more about them and find a new way to deal with your relationships, basically. 23rd of July, the sun moves into Leo, and that's when all the insight comes through, and there's some sort of contentment or stability, happiness, feeling of reliability, a feeling that things are going to be okay. So that's good news. The 29th, Mercury goes into Virgo to join Mars in your career zone, and that's when there's a lot of discussions and new ideas about how you can improve the direction of your life, if you want to change direction, if you want to change job, or if you've got relationships with authority figures. So some communications about that and good ideas about how to deal with them. Now, very importantly, the moon's nodes are changing sign on the 18th. The north node goes into Aries and the south node goes into Libra. And this is for the next 18 months, so up to January 2025. And last time this happened was in 2006, so if you cast your mind back, you might have some brilliant ideas about what happened then, because there might be some similarities now. So with your nodes here, your north node is moving from your everyday work and health into your 5th house of creativity and the world of the child, leisure and pleasure. This is basically saying it's your future destiny to enjoy yourself more. So lucky you. You may become more creative as well. You may live closer to the world of the child and it's playtime. Your south node here is moving out of the 12th house and into your 11th house. So with this, it's about your patterns of behaviour with your friends and groups and associations. And in Libra, there's a fair degree of compromise. What you've got to do is balance up your creative time and your ability for leisure and pleasure and desire for leisure and pleasure with what your friends, groups and associations want. So there's a bit of a balancing act between what you want and what they want here, but you can find a balance. So that's it. A bit happening, but it's quite interesting. Thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate that, Savvy Sag, and I just want to wish you a very happy July. If you're new, subscribe to me live. Don't forget to do that, and check out your rising sign and your moon sign. Have a great day. Bye for now. Hello and welcome, courageous Capricorns. I've got your July horoscope. Okay, let's go to the board now, and we're going to draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for the month for you. Closing my eyes, what do I see? Post box, and so this is something about messages, waiting for messages to arrive. There's some sort of impatient feeling around it too. You're maybe waiting for some sort of change or some sign of a change. Let's see what card we get. Okay, the card that comes up is the 2 of Cups. This is quite a healing kind of energy. There's 2 people coming together, and you'll see the 2 snakes here, Erebus or Oribus, however it's pronounced. It's saying that 2 things coming together, and opposites are often they're opposites that are coming together. You see the angel's wings here, so upstairs is looking out over all of this. Okay, so it won't happen overnight, but it will happen, and there's some sort of union here. So it's a healing force. If you've had an argument in a relationship, there could be an improvement soon. Okay, so that's the first card. The second card for the second half of the month for you, courageous Capricorns. What do I see? Going round and round in circles. Maybe it's a bit of a thing. Not sure where you are. But it's a washing machine I'm looking at. You look in the washing machine and the bowl spins back and forth and it goes around. And so I think this is a time of you cleaning up your act, maybe your identity. You do have the full moon here in your house of identity, so I will talk about that in a moment. The 2 of Pentacles comes up. There could be some sort of focus on money as well. You do have a lot happening here in your house of investments and joint resources. I'll talk about that. This card doesn't indicate whether it's a positive or negative type of influence, but I always do think it's positive because there's so much green in this card. So some sort of green around finances can suggest there's an increase or growth in your finances. Okay, I'll make this a bit bigger for you, and hopefully you'll be able to see it better. Okay, Capricorns. All right, first thing to notice is this thing called a talent triangle or minor grand trine involving Saturn in your 3rd house, the Sun-Mercury conjunction in your house of partnership, and also Jupiter here in your 5th house. Now these planets, Saturn and Mercury / Sun, are all blending their energies together, and they're coming to a focal point here at Jupiter. Jupiter's already got a lot of energy, so these planets are given even more energy around your house of creativity. But it's also your house of leisure and pleasure as well. And you might come up with, so consequently, you might come up with some sort of brilliant solutions to problems involving your creativity. If you felt some sort of writer's block or creativity block, okay, that could shift this month, which is good news. It's also leisure and pleasure, and so maybe you've just been working too much or doing other things and you haven't been enjoying yourself. Upstairs is suggesting it's time to enjoy yourself more this month. On the 3rd of July, we've got a supermoon going on for you and in your sign here. So you're going to particularly feel this because it is your house of identity, as I mentioned before, and it's also your appearance and how you present yourself to the world. There's some sort of shake-up, some sort of focus on this. It's basically saying, get your act together. Maybe you're going to improve your physical appearance in some way, buy new clothes, new shoes, do something with your hair, and how you present and get your message out into the world. Okay, so you might really be quite focused on that this month. On the 10th, Mars is going into Virgo here, bringing a lot of drive, ambition and energy towards you and how you grow your life. It could be spiritually speaking, it could involve training or education or re-education, and it could involve people especially from other countries, okay? Maybe you're thinking about travelling, but you're full of drive and ambition to improve your life somehow and to make your life much bigger. So this is called the house of the higher mind. Perhaps you're thinking of study. Could be formalised study as well, and or study off your own back. We've got Saturn here. The third house is involved with study, but not normally formalised or not really huge, big courses. But there's been some sort of restriction here with Saturn, and or maybe some sort of scheduling type problem or issue around timing or something like that. Then we have Mercury going into Leo on the 11th here, and there's a big party going on in your 8th house of shared resources, those energies and resources you share with governments, banks, maybe even inheritances, or with another person, your partner. And it's also intimacy as well. So there's a lot happening there. You can see all of that. And Mercury brings new ideas, fresh ideas, and new communications about that. We have new moon in Cancer on the 18th here in your house of partnerships. It's also legalities. So there's some sort of new beginning. It doesn't mean that it's a new relationship per se, although the new moon can certainly help you with that. It means probably, especially in a pre-existing relationship, that there's a new starting point, or you turn a corner, something like that. The 23rd sees Venus retrograde in Leo up here in your house of shared resources. So there could be some distance with a partner that you're sharing your resources with, or maybe there's a delay if you're applying for a loan, or some communication gets delayed, or you're waiting for something, and I hate that when that happens. But especially because Venus loves to do home redecorating or renovations. So if you are renovating your home, just be aware Venus is retrograde from the 23rd of July to the 4th of September. But it gives you a lot of energy, I guess, for thinking about it. The energy becomes internalised in some way. The 23rd sees the Sun going into Leo here as well, joining this big party, bringing insight, awareness, and even some comfort and contentment. So might start off a bit the month might start off a bit rocky or a bit turbulent, but by the end of the month, when the Sun goes in there, you could be feeling much better. The 29th sees Mercury going into Virgo, joining Mars here, and there's a lot of discussions about growing your life. You may be thinking about a vacation or going away somewhere. That would be excellent time. You've also got the MC in there at 11 degrees, so soon after, so it'll be the end of the month that Mars and Mercury are going to be conjunct the MC. So this is about, if you did go away on a holiday or something, then you might look back over your life and reflect, and then decide that you're not happy with the way your life is, so you're going to make a change, which is a good thing. And getting away to another country or becoming a bit distant, you could become more objective about it. Now, importantly, on the 18th, the moon's nodes change signs. The North Node goes into Aries here. And so this is going to bring, for the next 18 months, some sort of focus on your home and your family. And you can see Chiron's there at 19 degrees. So some months down the track, not straight away, but some months down the track, there could be something coming up about old family wounds. And sometimes the wound is sort of aggravated or something like that. So it may hurt a bit, but it hurts to bring your attention to it so that a healing can finally be effected. And because it's a North Node, it's like it's destiny, and your spirit is actually putting you in this direction to spend more time, I guess, or more focus on your home and family. Libra goes into, into your 10th house of career as well. And so this means that your past patterns of behaviour, how you operate, your traits, your personality traits, in regard to an authoritarian or authoritative partner, or maybe a parent or a boss or somebody in a position of authority, this is going to come up for you. And this is also the house of status, reputation, and career. So some of you may be thinking about in the future, not immediately, but down the track, if you're going to retire, leave that career and moves on to something else. So this is for the next 18 months until January 2025, and then you'll have a clear idea of what you want to do, and then it'll be changing signs again and moving forward. All right, so that's it, courageous Capricorns. Hope this is useful for you. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and by the way, because you are a cardinal sign, these moon's nodes are going to particularly affect you, even though you're not an Aries and you're not a Libran. You are cardinal, so you and the Cancerians are going to be very much affected by this. So your career or reputation or relationship with somebody in authority is going to be, you're going to have to balance that versus your family, your home and family time. Okay, maybe they want you to work more, so you'll have to work out what you can do. Okay, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to check your moon and your rising sign as well. Have a great month. Bye for now. Hello and welcome, awesome Aquarius. Well, I've got your July 23 horoscope. A few interesting things happening this month. So let's go to the board now, and I'm going to draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for the month for you. Okay, so first half of the month, I'm closing my eyes. I see a watch. Timing is very important. You could be feeling a little bit impatient about something, and it's like keep looking at the watch to work out some sort of timing. Let's choose a card now and see what further clarification we get. Okay, the Tower card. This is a very Uranian energy, and it's very appropriate actually for Aquarius, if it comes up for anybody, Aquarius, because this is the kind of unpredictable things that can happen with Uranus. This is you up in the sky looking out. If you've got any kind of intuition or psychic ability, you would have seen the writing was on the wall and that we were going down a certain path or a certain track. It is the end of something, okay? It doesn't have to be as dramatic or as tumultuous as this. You may see somebody's crown topple, okay? It's not what you thought. Maybe they told you something and you believe them. If you're idealistic, you would have just accepted what they said with no questions asked. But it's not what they said. It's something different. A structure you have built up in your mind, you're used to things going a certain way, a structure you had built up is not going to survive in its present form. Maybe it could make room for something even better. And I actually think that, okay, this is a major arcana card. It is something that's life-changing. It's something that's going to alter the direction that you thought you were going to take. My advice is, I'm excited actually. I don't feel grim about it at all. My advice is just to go with the flow, don't resist. There's something so much better around the corner for you. So don't worry, okay? I know a lot of people do worry about things. Let's have a look and we'll see what comes out in the second half of the month. I see somebody, it's almost like accolades and rewards. It's a gold logie. Somebody is literally handing you a gold logie. Now, I don't know if that means you were acting, like acting in a role or something like that, or if it just means you're getting an award because you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, okay? But there's so much gold here that it's very precious and valuable. The card that comes up, here's the gold. Okay, so now we know the gold is around your communications. He is the King of Cups. So going with the flow and feeling all the feelings. The indigo that he is wearing is about intuition. Okay, so you probably had some idea. There's a gold cup in his hand as well and a gold crown. So here we have a gold crown that's being toppled, and here we have a gold crown that's not. And I think these are different people. This is a person around you. This is you. Okay, so you're the one with the gold crown that's going to keep your gold crown by listening to your feelings, being in touch with your emotions, and seated on the shoreline here, keeping your feet on the ground, seated on a clamshell. A clamshell at the back and another shell underneath. Okay, this is a pretty important month for you coming up in July, with a major arcana and a royal card. Okay, so let's go to your horoscope now, and I'm going to make this a bit bigger. A few things happening, as I mentioned before. You have a minor grand trine here, and you also have the finger of God, these are talent triangles of creativity, basically. Some situation will come up and you're going to find a very creative and worthwhile and ultimately successful way of dealing with this unpredictable situation. Okay, don't worry. Family members could be involved, especially as the minor grand trine has Jupiter here and the yod, or the finger of God, has Jupiter here. Okay, there's a lot of issues to do with other people. You'll see the moon there starting the month off to do with other people. So this finger of God only lasts a day or two, not very long, because the moon travels very quickly. With the minor grand trine, Saturn, Jupiter, and also this Mercury Sun conjunction, we know that there's going to be a lot of energy funneled into your home and family this month. Okay, so that will be fine. Let's have a look at your horoscope. On the 3rd, there's a supermoon in Capricorn, and it's over here in your 12th house, Capricorn. And this is stirring things up on a unconscious level. The waters might be a little bit rough at the moment. Don't take on anything extra. You've got enough to deal with. On the 10th, Mars goes into Virgo, and you'll see that here. It's to do with the resources that you share with other people, and you're feeling quite ambitious or energetic towards organising those resources that you share with other people in a new way, perhaps. The 11th sees Mercury going into Leo as well here in your house of partnerships. There's a whole lot of energy going on in the house of partnerships there, and a lot of communications and fresh ideas. On the 18th, the new moon goes into Cancer here in your ordinary, everyday, daily routine, but also your work and your health. There could be a fresh start that begins. There's the Sun and Mercury conjunction there as well, so a fair bit of energy and a bit of a new start, new procedures at work perhaps, or something like that. 23rd sees Venus going retrograde, where your important partnerships might recede into the background somehow. Somehow there's something about a distance between you and your important partners, or perhaps that could be business partners or personal partners or husband, wife, spouse, and perhaps legalities as well. If you have a legal matter, there's some sort of slowdown there. Also, the Sun going into Leo on the 23rd here, joining the party to do with your important relationships. You get a lot of insight. That insight, and there's a sense of contentment and stability with it, and that insight is going to really help you understand what the relationship dynamics are. 29th sees Mercury going into Virgo, joining Mars here, bringing even more energy around shared resources, perhaps intimacy. So you could be having very intimate conversations with your important partners, for example, and getting right down to how you really feel and the core of the issue. Then we have on the 18th of the 7th, something important, which is the nodes of the moon are changing. The north node's going into Aries and the south node's going into Libra. For you, your north node's going into communications and study. You could be thinking more about these matters, and this is your destiny to improve your communications and perhaps to study, to have more to do with your local area, lots of small trips around where you live, and maybe chit-chatting with the neighbours and that sort of thing, and getting more of a local presence. With your south node is retreating back into the 9th house of the higher mind. This is about patterns of energy to do with how you broaden your life, okay? So before you might have been interested more on the world stage, and for the next 18 months, you could be divvying up how much time you're interested in or what you have to do with overseas, with formal study, with spirituality and philosophy and things like that, versus how much time you have dealing with local issues, dealing with friends that are close by or perhaps distant relatives, or dealing with things in your local area. You could be playing it closer to home for the next 18 months. So that's it. Awesome, Aquarius. I hope you find this useful. Don't forget to check out your sun and moon sign as well. Have a fabulous month, and I'll see you again real soon. Okay, bye for now. Hello and welcome, passionate Pisces. I've got your July 2023 horoscope. First, we're going to draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for the month. So let's go to the board now and we'll do that first. Okay, so I like to have a little vision first. So I see a ladder in front of me, but it's an A-frame type ladder. So you are going up, you are evolving, you're taking those steps forward. However, these steps that you take, they're going to get you to a point, but they're not necessarily going to get you to all the way where you want to go, but they are like the first steps in a long journey towards success. Okay, so let's get some clarification on that, because this A-frame ladder, I can see it isn't a very tall ladder, and it's going to get you to the next landing, so to speak. The card that comes up is the Sun card. This is brilliant. It brings stability. It brings a sense of generosity around you. It brings safety, and it's just happiness. So it's about time. There's some happiness coming to you. But there's also insight around this as well. You could see a lot of things more clearly than what you have previously, and it's just a good positive omen. It's a major arcana card, and so this could be something that ends up being life-changing in some way. Okay, so let's now have a look at the second card for the month. All right, so I'll just get that right. Okay, second card of the month. What do I see for passionate Pisces? I see a windmill, but it's in somebody's hands. It's a little child with a windmill type little toy that's spinning around and around. Maybe sometimes you feel like you're going around in circles. So it's sort of like a childlike type of sense of awe and wonder with it. And there's also the sense of changing your mind, a lot of new thoughts coming in. Maybe you're tweaking things a bit more. I can see this little girl with this windmill toy, and she's enjoying herself. So time for some fun. The card that comes out is the Death card. How are you going to have fun with that? Well, basically saying it's the end of an era, that a new, what would you say, a new cycle is beginning. I guess that's what this means. It doesn't relate to physical death. It just means something's ending up so something new can start. It is also a major arcana. So the combination of these two cards does tell me that there's some life-affirming change coming to you, the Sun and the Death card. So it's the end of the past. I'm going to give you more info on that as we go along, because there is a fair bit happening with the nodes changing signs this month, but I'll get to that. Now, the first thing to note is we've got a finger of God here, or what's called a yod, or a finger of God, with the moon. The moon travels very quickly, so this is really only for the first day of the month. Maybe with the moon there's a lot of things going on in your subconscious involving communications, unpredictable communications here with Uranus. And we have the Sun-Mercury conjunction here in your house of creativity, but it's also children, hence why I might have seen the little girl. And so, yes, it could be unpredictable communications with children or with people who are they're in a child state, okay, on the first of the month. So do watch that, go carefully. But that finger of God will dissipate very quickly as the moon turns. This could also be in matters of career, or an authority figure could be involved. Okay, there's also a minor grand trine here in what's known as a talent triangle involving Saturn, Jupiter, and this Sun-Mercury conjunction. And this is likely to bring huge amounts of communications or ideas, because the focal point is here into your third house. If you're doing anything to do with study, there might be some changes there, or some sort of news, or perhaps something to do with your local area or distant family members. Then we have on the 3rd, we have the supermoon in Capricorn up here, affecting your house of home, house of hopes and dreams, but it's also the people that are your friends and groups and associates. So Capricorn, it's quite a sort of solid, earthy type, practical type sign. And with the full moon there, it could be a little bit turbulent. The full moon's probably not at home in Capricorn, and so it could be some sort of turbulence there as well. On the 10th, Mars goes into Virgo here, into your house of partnerships, bringing a lot of increased energy and action with potential partners, business partners, personal partners, whether it's a spouse or somebody that you have an arrangement with. And a lot of energy. Sometimes it's good in the bedroom with Mars, all that masculine energy. Other times it can bring arguments, so do watch for that, especially in the 7th house there. On the 11th, Mercury goes into Leo as well here, bringing fresh ideas, bringing lots of communications around your everyday habits or your routine. You could be quite busy paying bills and doing domestic type tasks, or if you're at work, if you are working in your sort of maintenance or normal everyday work, it could be a bit busier than usual. That's also the health house, or the house of well-being. So if you are having a medical or a health issue, then there may be increased communications about that as well. On the 18th, the new moon goes into Cancer here, in your house of creativity and the inner child, as I was talking about before, and this brings a brand new start. Maybe it's a creative project, maybe you have more to do with little children and you're playing together. It can also be the house of romance. You could meet somebody who is quite attractive. And if you are in a sort of casual type relationship, you could also find that something happens which brings more commitment or a new start in a casual relationship. Things could be heating up a bit more, especially with Mars here in the 7th house. Maybe it goes to a deeper level of commitment. We have Venus retrograde in Leo from the 23rd until the 4th of November. Now, with Venus, if I was just talking about if you're in a casual kind of relationship, it's likely, if it's going to go deeper, it's likely to go deeper well before the 23rd, because with Venus in retrograde, things become internalised, and there might be some sort of distance with people that you normally get on with, or relationships or romances, but it's here in your everyday life, or perhaps at work. Maybe there's a distance because some of the people are moved to new offices, or there's some sort of relocation, or you're not going into the work or something like that. And that's to the 4th of September. On the 23rd, Sun also goes in here, bringing a lot of happiness. You got a double lot of Sun because you've got the Sun here in your tarot card, and so there could be some brilliant insights around your work. Okay, so work and health, but particularly work, could be a bit of a theme this month for you, passionate Pisces. The Sun there, though, it brings happiness, stability and insight. The 29th sees Mercury going into Virgo here, joining the party, so lots of conversations again in that area. Now, something important to note is that the Moon's nodes are changing sign. The North node's going into Aries and the South node's going into Libra on the 18th. So your North node is going into your house of values. So this is your finances, but it's also the things that you value. And this will be for the next 18 months until January 2025. And you might find that your focus is more on money or possessions or things that you value. You're working out a new value system, if you like. Your South Node moving into Libra here goes into shared resources. So you could be focused on working with, say, investments. You could be looking at sharing more intimacy. The South Node is about your previous patterns of behaviour and your experience. So it comes in that whatever your patterns are regarding sharing resources or intimacy and your personal finances, or perhaps your values, your personal values about money and what's important, these two have to be balanced. And so it's not all about your money and it's not all about our money. It's like you've got to find a balance between, especially if you're in a serious relationship and you share finances, or maybe you're planning on sharing finances, what that's going to look like for you in your relationship. Okay, so that's it, Passionate Pisces. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to check your rising sign and your moon sign as well. And have a fabulous month. Okay, thanks, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.